What is up, everybody? Welcome to another Sunday afternoon. That means another edition of Crunch Time here on RotoGrinders, bringing you all the action for Sunday afternoon in MLB. A little bit of an earlier start today with a 1:05 lock time instead of the usual 1:35. So getting things started a little bit sooner. And usual weekend gang with you here today. You've got myself, Justin Van Zuden, STL Cardinals 84. Got Tim Buell alongside as well. Tim, how's it going this weekend?
Yeah, I'm doing well. Had an absolutely horrendous day in DFS yesterday, though. Everything that I did was just about the wrong decision, wrong outcome, wrong everything. So, finally Colorado woke up and decided to destroy Zach Gallen. So that did not do well for my results yesterday.
Yeah, baseball's a funny game, and even the the worst teams aren't going to go 0-162, and it was definitely a wake up for the Rockies offense last night. So kudos to their fans that have been sticking it out and got to watch them win a game last night. But made for a little bit of a weird night in DFS. Of course, the Cardinals Royals game finishing 1-0 wasn't ideal either. At least my Cardinals got another win, so I had that to look back on from last night, but wasn't the finest day for me yesterday either. We've got TJ Zwarich alongside as well. He's doing double duty with hosting and producing together today on Sunday. So busy man behind the scenes as well. TJ, what's up?
Not too much. We got some exciting Spidey bombs for the people today. Some big odds. So hoping people are going to smash that like button so we can share some Spidey bombs. We got the first two at 50 likes. They were hot yesterday. We went 2 for 3 yesterday, ready to keep it going today. And life's good. It's a Sunday. It's sunny outside. We got daytime baseball. It's a holiday here in Canada tomorrow, so my wife doesn't have to go to work, so we got an extra day to hang out. I got a little more help with the babies. So life's good. Happy to see you guys.
So it is Victoria Day, I see. Thank you to Google. But I need to know what the is it just is there a reason? I mean, it says the first Monday before May 25th, which seems strange.
There's a long weekend in May every year. It's just kind of referred to as May long weekend.
So it's just an extra day. The banks needed an extra. The banks always do with
Queen Victoria. I don't know what it is.
Well, it's a holiday. Nobody can complain about a holiday for sure.
Yeah.
So, all right. So that's Canada tomorrow. U.S. folks, you'll have Memorial Day next week from tomorrow. So we'll be a long weekend here stateside next week as well. Well, awesome. Hope you're enjoying the holiday weekend. And for any other Canadians on the show, hope you are as well. Should be a fun day today. Although I think this slate is a little bit jumbled. I don't know if that's the right word for it. It's intriguing. I don't think there's a whole lot that stands out as completely obvious. Maybe that means that that ownership will get spread out a little bit. But Tim, just kind of a high level view here before we get into it. First glance at today's slate, it just seems a little bit strange.
Yeah, there's not a lot of clear direction for this slate, whether you're talking about pitching or hitting. It's definitely going to be a little bit confusing, I think, whether you're playing cash games, large field, or single entry tournaments. It's going to take a little bit of talking through, I think, and kind of figuring out, kind of your own, risk assessment and risk tolerance. And also, I don't even know if we're going to have some clear and overwhelming chalk, at least when it comes to pitching. I think we're going to see some condensed ownership on a couple of guys, but I don't think we're going to see like a clear, overwhelmingly chalky like pairing on DK.
Yeah, I don't think so either. It's the salaries are interesting. The numbers are interesting, and it just it makes for a slate where you can kind of make a case for a lot of different things. Made it difficult when I was writing the article today, trying to figure out how I wanted to break it down and analyze it. But really, somebody could take a completely different approach to what I did, and it's defensible. So it's definitely a day where I think the ownership is going to be spread out. Maybe a day where you just want to pick the guys that you feel are the best plays and not worry about ownership too much. part of that's because like we don't have the Yankees, we don't have the Mets, we don't have the Dodgers, we don't have the Rockies on this slate to give us some of those top offenses and top pitchers. So TJ, before we dive in, any other housekeeping things or first glance thoughts that you want to pass along?
We did get 50 likes already, so we got 2 Spidey Bombs already dropped right down there at the bottom of the screen. First up on FanDuel plus 630, we have Jackson Merrill. James Wood, a different young lefty. James Wood is Spidey Bomb number 1, and then Jackson Holiday, I guess that's probably where I got Jackson from. Plus 900, Spidey Bomb number 2, that's at Bet365. DK, Caesars, almost anywhere other than FanDuel, it's at plus 800. So get yourself some Jackson Holiday at plus 900, James Wood plus 630, and let's have ourselves another good day with the Spidey Bombs today.
You're just trying to mesh Jackson Holiday and James Wood into one person
together. Yeah, Jackson Wood.
That'd be quite a pairing there with you got the wavy hair and the big outfielder. It would be a pretty good athlete, I would suppose, but they're pretty good individually as well. So Jackson Holiday, James Wood, I like both those calls today. Myself, if you have questions throughout the show today, feel free to drop them in the YouTube chat. We would also appreciate if you hopped into our Discord, rotogrinders.com/Discord. It's free to register for that. And you just need to throw your questions in the live stream chat channel. So we're extending these shows a little bit on the weekends since we're the only show. And we've got last night on Saturday with 8 games, we did a game-by-game approach. I think that worked pretty well. Today, maybe a little bit too much for that with 10. So we'll take the usual position-by-position approach today, but we should have plenty of time to get through everything and get to questions. So feel free to throw those out there today. All right, Tim, I'll start with you. Let's go ahead and start diving into it here. And pitching today is, if this slate was being played a year ago, we'd all be just talking about Paul Skeens, but I don't know if that's the case today. So what do you like for pitching?
Yeah, I certainly don't have an issue with Paul Skeens. I think he's a fantastic GPP play because we know that he has a massive ceiling. He put up a really good score against the Dodgers earlier in the season, so we know that he can shut down premier offenses. So I think Skeens, while he's not safe and while he's not a cash game play, in my opinion, I think he makes for a really strong GPP play just because we don't have a lot of ceiling, I think, on this pitching slate. So Skeens always has a ceiling. So I think he's fine. I think Freddie Peralta is probably the safer choice, but it's pretty close. He's $200 less than Skeens. I think you could consider Peralta in cash games, but I think that one guy that I'm going to auto just put in my cash game right now is Framber Valdez at 7,900 going up against Texas. Valdez just shows really, really like elite control. He's got decent strikeout stuff. He's under 8K. So he's definitely somebody that I'm going to have in my cash game. The other one, like pitcher that I'm considering is Colin Ray at 7,200. I think he's got a really, really safe matchup against the White Sox. Doesn't have huge upside, but again, this isn't really a slate where I think we necessarily have to have huge upside from our pitchers. So I think Colin Ray is somebody that we can definitely consider in any format. Again, just the matchup is so nice, and that the price is quite low. So he's very, very affordable. He allows you to access some of the more premier bats on this slate. So I think Colin Ray is completely fine. Shane Baz at 8,300. Again, another really great matchup. He's been a little bit more inconsistent this year. Not somebody that I would consider for cash games, but I think he's got to make it into your GPP pool. So Shane Baz is definitely somebody that I'm considering. Outside of those 5, it gets really, really thin. Schwellenbach is, I think, okay for large field GPPs. He's not going to be very highly owned. I think he's all right. I'm kind of conflicted about what to do with Andrew Abbott. I think he's too expensive, and the matchup is not ideal for a ceiling. So if I want to be paying around $9,500 for a pitcher, I'm either going Freddie Peralta or Paul Skeens. So really, I think I would add in Schwallenbach as my 6th pitcher. Outside of that, I really don't have that much interest in anybody else.
So I haven't read anything yet, or I haven't talked to TJ about this, but I feel like this feels like one of the TJ slates where he's going to give us a couple off the wall names that are fine at pitcher, just because it's that kind of slate. I could be very wrong. Again, we have not coordinated this. I am not leading him into this, but just feels like it's a day where TJ is going to throw a couple random names out there and say, if you're playing 150, you got to play some of these guys. And TJ, tell me I'm right.
You absolutely nailed it. There are a couple in there that I don't even have in my pool that I don't think you'd be crazy to take shots on, but I have 3 off the wall pitchers that are going to be very, very low owned. I think right now projecting for 7 to 8% combined ownership between the 3 of them. And so my highest owned is Colin Ray. I agree with Tim. I think the kind of optimal pairing today is Ray and Valdez doing the double cheap, even though we don't actually have that much to spend up for in terms of bats. But I'm getting to those 2 is my highest owned. Ray 1, then Framber Valdez, followed by Skeens and Peralta. I didn't expect to get as much Skeens and Peralta as I did, but I'm still getting about 30% each just because it's really easy to get there. Like, there's not a lot of salary to spend up for today. Kyle Tucker is the only outfielder above 6K, and he's like $800 more expensive than anybody else, and he's going into a big win in Wrigley Field with a cold game. So easy to get up to those guys. Then I do have some Shane Baz, but the 3 guys that I'm going to be taking shots on, 2 of them I have 10% of, 1 of them I have 20% of, are Mick Abel, Zebby Matthews, and Liberator for your Cardinals today. Liberator, I don't really love, but Bobby wrote him up. Bobby's sharp, and you look at this Kansas City team, and they are just not very good. So even though I'd prefer a few more lefties in that lineup, I still think Liberator is viable. I'm getting to about 10%. Abel is a prospect. I don't think he's necessarily going to be all that ready. He's probably going to get sent back down once they get a little bit healthier. He's 8K, but he's 2%, and it's the Pirates. It's the Pirates. The Pirates are terrible. And so I'm going to take a shot. He is a high-end prospect going up against the Pirates. I'll give it a shot. But the one I like the best is Zebby Matthews. He's the cheapest of the group. He struggled last year when he came up, but this is a guy that can throw. This is a guy that's been dominating in the minor leagues so far this year. He's a good strikeout pitcher who happens to also just give up a lot of power. But I think this is a good spot today for Zebby Matthews going up against the Milwaukee team that doesn't have a ton of power. They've really struggled lately. I like both of I like Zebby as like a long shot tournament play today.
I like those calls quite a bit. So the what I mentioned in my article today, Matthews is one of them. I mean, just when you look at his strikeout numbers in the minors, he had 9 starts last year in the majors and had an ERA over 6. But the advanced metrics weren't too bad, and the strikeouts were there. So, and the Brewers have gotten shut out in 4 of their last 5 games. So they're really scuffling right now. So I think Matthews is interesting. And if you sort every pitcher on this slate by xFIP this season, number 1 is Paul Skeens, and number 2 is Matthew Liberator. And I mean, it took him a while to get to where he's a quality major league pitcher. Now, this is a guy, the Cardinals traded Randy Rosarena for him like 3 or 4 years ago. And of course, everyone was, at the time, the worst trade ever. And Rosarena's been a really solid player since. And so finally, Libby is making his part of the trade stick a little bit. And 8 starts, he has 7 walks. So total. So you don't luck into 7 walks in 8 starts. So he doesn't have the biggest strikeout upside, but 8 starts, 42 strikeouts, 7 walks. He hasn't given up more than 2 runs in any of his last 6. The Royals are kind of scuffling right now as well.
Do we lose
Nope.
cards? Oh no,
We lost cards.
Am I back or not back?
He's back. He's
You're
back.
You're back.
Right.
You're back.
It might have just take up there for a second. So yeah, Libby and Matthews, I like those calls. And then there was one other. Oh, I don't even think Luis Ortiz is crazy on DraftKings. You're not touching him on FanDuel because he's priced up, but he's only 6,500, and I don't think he's crazy on DraftKings if you're trying to fit in all the bats. And I mean, if you sort our projections, like there's 10 pitchers between 15 and 19 DK points. So I just don't think this is a slate that you're going to see won or lost by who you take at pitchers. So if you want to save some salary, go right ahead. Tim, any other thoughts on pitchers from you?
Yeah. I mean, we just got a comment in chat about, what about Jack Leiter? Like, I don't even think he's crazy on this slate, to be honest with you, just because that lineup is so right-handed heavy. So, I mean, I don't absolutely hate that. Obviously, guys like Valdez and Ray are a little bit safer, but I don't think Leiter is completely out of line.
Yeah, slate where you can probably make a case for about 12 or 14 guys here, and it's not nuts on this slate. Not a ton of smash spots for offense. All right, before we start going through the stacks and the position players, just a heads up that it looks like Jonathan India has been scratched.
Yeah, he's scratched. Garcia is leading off.
And Massey is in the lineup now for the Royals. Probably doesn't move the needle too much today, but if you were riding the Jonathan India value train for about the 15th day in a row, you're probably relieved to not have to worry about it.
I rostered him last night. That was not a good choice. I knew that as soon as I clicked him, but I did it anyway.
Tim,
what
we
about all the
disparaged
talk
him
on the show yesterday? We were bringing up about how he sucks.
We disparaged Indy on the show. It's about the only thing we got right yesterday.
It's true. Oh, get this cards. Kyle Gibson DFA'd.
Maybe the Orioles could use Miles Michaelis if they want an extra arm to replace him. Boy, I'm very happy that the Cardinals didn't re-sign Kyle Gibson. But I certainly didn't expect him to be as bad as he was. Of course, didn't get out of the first inning yesterday. 3 starts with a 16.78 ERA. That's too bad. He's had a solid career, but seems to be nearing the end. I hadn't seen that yet, but maybe that'll fix everything. Firing the manager didn't work, so we're gonna get rid of Kyle Gibson. Maybe that'll do it. All right, let's move to talk some stacks here before we go position by position. A little bit tougher slate for offense today. TJ, what are you looking at?
Yeah, so my highest owned stack today, pardon me, as I just give the screen share a quick little swap here. There we go. My highest owned offense on the slate is going to be Baltimore. Yes, they've been disappointing. Yes, they've been costing me money, but I'm going to keep going back there with a nice warm day, the wind blowing out to right field, and a good matchup. They're my highest owned stack, followed by Atlanta. Detroit actually is popping up there for me. I really like them in tournaments going up against Berrios. Even if he does fine, the Blue Jays bullpen has just been scuffling quite a bit lately. And then the Rays are another team I really, really like today. Of like Baltimore, Atlanta, and the Rays, those are kind of like the popular stacks I'm still going to be heavy on. And the ones I'm really looking to get different with today, Detroit and Washington is going to be my other favorite one. I like that hitting environment today in Baltimore. We talked a little bit over the last couple of days about how they moved that fence in, and now it's playing as a very hitter-friendly park again. And so I like Baltimore, but I like the other side of that game as well. I wrote up the Nationals in the expert survey today as my favorite sneaky stack. Zach Eflin hasn't been very good so far this year. Can't keep the ball on the ground, and when the wind's blowing out, I like a guy who can't keep the ball on the ground for the offensive side of things. So Washington is probably my favorite of the sneaky stacks, and then I'm getting some Toronto, some Boston, some Cleveland, some Cincinnati, some Cubs. I'm really spreading out like my low end stacks today and just getting like 5% of a bunch of different ones, but it's really just Baltimore, Atlanta, Detroit, Tampa, Washington that are my 10% or above stacks.
All right, Tim, what do you like for stacks today?
Yeah, so my favorite stack on the day would probably be Atlanta. But I mean, this is an incredible kind of day to spread out really your stacks. But I think Atlanta is the top overall stack. Bayo has no strikeout ability. He's got pretty high walks also. I think a lot of his success, if you want to call it that, any kind of success is kind of fluky. So I think Atlanta is my top overall stack. I really like the Rays today. I mean, talk about a guy that should probably be DFA'd is Cal Quantrill. I mean, he has no ability at all whatsoever. The Rays should be able to dominate this spot pretty easily, and they're pretty darn affordable too. Not that we necessarily need the salary, but they're not expensive at all. So I really do like the Rays a lot today. I know that there's not amazing weather there, and it might hurt a little bit, but I think the Cubs going up against Cannon are a really good spot today. And then we got to talk about Baltimore. I think they're going to be the most popular stack today. And I think if they're going to be the most popular, if you're playing like large field stuff, you might want to, I would consider maybe going underweight. Not that I have any faith in Mike Soroka, but I don't know if I want to necessarily build into chalky Baltimore. I'm seeing kind of a mix here in terms of projected ownership. I'm seeing a lot of Atlanta players and I'm seeing a lot of Baltimore players. If we think that they're both going to be chalky, I'm probably going to lean Atlanta as my preferred team that I would be willing to build into chalk for. But I mean, Baltimore, they've really been really bad this year, but I mean, they still have an extremely talented lineup. And if, people are going to stop playing them, we should start playing them because they do have elite upside. So
what if we've been playing them all along?
Well, if you still have money, I think you should still, I think you should keep playing them. But it's a day by day game, right? And if they're going to be super chalky, maybe we want to be a little bit cautious. But if we think Atlanta is going to get more steam, then maybe that's our go back to Baltimore.
Yeah, so Baltimore is 25th right now in the league in batting average on balls in play. So that would suggest they've been a little unlucky. And it's largely been the pitching. I mean, that's been the complete disaster for them. But I think today's the day. I've said that times before, so it's probably not. But
yesterday was the day, and now I think today's the day again.
I did yesterday. Thankfully, they played during the day, and I wasn't on air before that one. So, and they did salvage something with the ninth inning false hope rally. But today's the day. That's the first time I wrote that actual phrase in the article. So maybe that'll lead to something. We'll see if it's some good karma. But yeah, I'm on Baltimore for better or worse. I like TJ's call with Detroit. First team in the league to 30 wins, continues to fly under the radar. Just waiting for the Kerry Carpenter Spidey bomb at some point during the show. Maybe we'll get that.
Just dropped Riley Green plus 470 is Spidey bomb number 3.
I was off. I had the wrong outfielder.
The books have adjusted for Carpenter's home run odds lately. You can't get near as good as you could earlier in the year. And so I still don't mind at all like a plus 350, plus 325 Gary Carpenter home run bet. But Riley Green plus 470 on FanDuel, like those odds a lot better.
And then like Tim's call as well on Tampa, I think Tampa's a really interesting team because nobody ever wants to play them. Nobody ever wants to stack them. But Quantrill's just that bad, and this slate is just that strange that if nobody's going to stack Tampa, I mean, it's a team that can very easily score 5 or 6, 8 runs today. So I like those calls.
To get more of them, and I'm just realizing now that I didn't. But one team I do like quite a bit for tournaments today is Houston. I think they're in a really good spot and they're really cheap. They've changed up their lineup a little bit. So the guys that I want to play in the Houston lineup are all batting in the top half now. And like Leiter has been reverse splitsy when it comes to power. And so you got Paredes batting first. DeZenzo is up batting 5th now. Diaz is in the cleanup spot. They're a super cheap stack that I think are really, really interesting. So I wanted to shout them out as well. Mabs in chat saying Jackson Holiday is 9-1 home run on Bet365. Yeah, he's plus 900 everywhere. That's why I got him scrolling at everywhere but FanDuel. That's why he's scrolling at the bottom of the screen as a Spidey bomb. We already got Jackson Holiday, James Wood, and Riley Green as the 3 Spidey bombs. I got another one for the people coming at 100 likes, which we are very, very close to, only 3 away. So keep hitting that like button. The home run calls keep coming.
And the other team that I wanted to mention really quick, it's just really just the top half of the lineup is actually the Pirates. I'm getting to a ton of O'Neal Cruz in Sims. It makes a lot of sense. There's a good wind blowing out to right today for that game. So I really don't mind getting to somebody like O'Neal Cruz, Brian Reynolds, Andrew McCutcheon, something like that. Maybe just like a 2-man or a 3-man of the Pirates. But I really like O'Neal Cruz today, even if it's just as a one-off.
All right. Reminder before we get into the position by position breakdown, be sure to try our props and pick'em package here at RotoGrinders for a discount. The props and pick'em package features daily prop picks and fantasy pick'em selections from many of your favorite RotoGrinders expert. We are knocking 50% off the first month when you sign up with the link below. So check that out. TJ can probably drop it in to the chat as well. And with that, we'll go ahead and dig into the position by position breakdown. I'll let TJ make sure he's got everything caught up on the production side, and we'll let Tim start at catcher, where it's maybe not the most glamorous position most days. Sundays tends to be definite with that because teams tend to give their catchers some days off on the weekends. But Tim, we got a catcher today.
Yeah, so, we're really focusing in on these Atlanta bats. So I think Drake Baldwin at 3,800 is probably your cash game catcher. He doesn't necessarily have to be. I mean, Adley Rutschman at 4,200, I think is completely fine. If you wanted to save and go to Yanier Diaz at 3K, I think that's okay as well. Henry Davis, he's the Stone Min batting 9th. A lot of bat optimals are giving you Henry Davis today as like the optimal catcher. I don't have a problem with that. The only thing I'd say is that we don't really need a ton of savings today, like unless you're like really double paying up at pitching. But I don't really know how much we really need Henry Davis. But he is there at the Stone Min. He is at least a capable hitter. But I mean, I'd rather just pay the extra 1,000 for Yanier Diaz.
And let's see. Yeah, so Diaz is his 3K hitting cleanup. Connor Wong's in the Boston lineup at 2K as well. We've actually got him in our RotoGrinders projections ahead of Henry Davis, but the 2K catcher options can really help on a lot of days, but I don't know if today is that day. I'm kind of with you there. TJ, what do you like a catcher?
Baldwin, my favorite as well. Anytime he's batting in the middle of the lineup against a righty, I'm gonna like targeting Drake Baldwin. So he's number 1, followed by Yanier Diaz, then Adley Rutschman. Those are the 3 guys I think I want to get to the most, and Alejandro Kirk as well. I missed him, but he's batting cleanup today, and I'm getting to a lot of Kirk, as well as a decent amount of Keibert Ruiz in my Washington stacks today.
Yeah, I was surprised to see Baldwin in there today because he caught last night, but 18 for 36 with 3 homers and 8 RBIs in the last 15 games for Drake Baldwin. And of course, they gave Murphy that big contract, and now Baldwin's kind of coming into his own as a pretty good bat for the Braves. So good problem to have, I guess. It seems strange when Sean Murphy's on the pine a couple days in a row, and especially when the team has been like underperforming all year long, and the one position where you've got 2 guys that are both hitting well is catcher. But anyway, Baldwin in there again today because he's got that red hot bat. So Tim, anything else at catcher?
I mean, I think the rest of these catchers are really just only in stacks for me.
Yeah, I mean, Carson Kelly's still up at 5,300 for the Cubs.
I can't do that. I mean, I'm sure he'll go for 50 today, but I'm not even going to consider that.
Yeah, wild improvement from him this year. Some of it probably not sustainable, but Don't mind Herrera for the Cardinals on FanDuel, where he's still pretty cheap. Would be only in a Cardinal stack on DK, where he's 4,500. All right, let's go ahead and move to first base. TJ, I will give you first crack at that position.
Matt Olson going to be my highest owned first baseman today. I think he is just the best play at the position. And so he's going to be my highest owned by a fairly wide margin, followed by Vladimir Guerrero Jr. And then it's the Tampa guys for me, Yandy Diaz and Jonathan Aranda. Aranda's a guy to me that is never kind of really going as highly owned as he should be. This is probably the best power hitter in their lineup, maybe even better at this stage in their career than Brandon Lau. So really like getting to Aranda today. Wilson Contreras, I believe, who you wrote up as a sneaky home run play, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe favorite tournament play in the expert survey today cards. And then I really like large field tournaments to get a little different. Christian Walker, Nathaniel Lowe, Spencer Torkelson.
Yeah, Waka for most of his career has been reverse splits. So if you're going Cardinals today, I do like the righties. So guys like Herrera, Contreras, Arenado, I would prefer over the lefties today if you're trying to pick them out individually. Tim, what do you like at first?
Yeah, TJ really summed it up perfectly for me. I would start with Matt Olson. Then I would move to the Rays guys. I also don't mind Ryan Mountcastle. Christian Walker is just too cheap. He's 3,300. So I mean, he's got immense power. I think you could always use him. Nathaniel Lowe batting third at 3,800. There's a lot of really, really cheap first basemen today that I think are have a lot of ability for some pretty high upside power here. So definitely a position that you could consider saving at if you don't want to play Matt Olson. But I think if you're playing cash games today on FanDuel or DK, I think you're clicking Matt Olson.
Yeah, I like Aranda in that Tampa stack for sure. He's got really good splits against right-handed pitching. TJ mentioned Torkelson, Contreras, Yandy Diaz. Quantrill's a little reverse splitsy as well, especially this year. He's been really bad against righties, but if you're on that Baltimore stack, it's nice with Mountcastle being pretty cheap. So a number of different ways that you can go at this position today. Of course, Olson's the spend. Guerrero, if you want, some power there, though he looks to be a little too highly owned for my liking, especially since I'm not really on Toronto too much today. So, TJ, where are we at for likes and such before we move along to second?
Typing in the fourth Spidey Bomb as we speak. If we get up to 150 likes, I can drop a fifth one for the people, but we are going back to Baltimore at plus 800. I don't understand why Baltimore's odds are so juicy today with that wind blowing out. But plus 800 on FanDuel. Ryan O'Hearn is Spidey Bomb number 4.
All right. It's because they're the Orioles, TJ. That's why they haven't done anything this year. So you're getting the discount. But this is the day. Remember, today is the day. I very much look forward to 3 p.m. when the Orioles have one run and we can regret again. But hopefully it's the day for some of those guys to hit some bombs as well. All right, Tim, I will stick with you here first and second base.
Yeah, so second base is not as bad as it usually is. There's some really nice value plays that we can get to. Jackson Holiday. Yeah, I know Baltimore has not been good, but Holiday has shown a little bit of promise. He seems to be their new leadoff guy. He is far too cheap, so 3,300. He's probably your cash game guy. Definitely like him quite a bit. I love the Rays today, so I've got to like Brandon Lau at 3,700. Really, you could play him in cash as well. Ozzie Albies as part of that Atlanta stack, I think is completely fine. Jose Altuve at 4,100. I think he's fantastic as well. So I mean, second base actually has some pretty decent options today. Probably not going to be playing Alex Bregman on this slate, but I mean, he does have some power if you wanted to use him as a one-off. But really, I there's some really, really strong plays here that are not that expensive. So I'm probably not going to be spending up at second base today.
Yeah, it is a little bit deeper than most days, but it's tough to get around Holiday. I mean, obviously TJ mentioned him as the first Spidey bomb, and the leadoff spot 3,300 on DK is really enticing. That the discount down from like a Bregman, that's $2,100 is pretty substantial. Even Torres, who I don't mind. I mean, I think a Detroit stack is fine today, but if you're just doing single entry or you're playing cash games, like $1,600 in savings down to Holidays definitely helps with the rest of your lineup build. So TJ, what do you like at second base?
Yeah, Jackson Holiday is actually my second highest owned player on the slate, getting to a ton of him. I have almost 30%. Brandon Lau, number 2. And then I think it's strictly only in stacks for me outside of Holiday and Lau. I am getting to a little bit of Torres and a little bit of Bregman. I might have some one-offs of those two. And then Gabriel Arias as well, I think is very interesting batting cleanup today for Cleveland that I like at second base. And of course, as Tim mentioned, Jose Altuve in a pretty good spot as well.
All right. Yeah, I think that's most of the pool. I mean, you don't need to mess around with a Marcus Semien against Framber Valdez. And by the way, it is very rare that I can find anything in an article to be remotely as witty as cheese, but I do appreciate the one person who messaged me on Twitter that got the reference today when I mentioned that the Rangers offense is leaking oil and they're facing Valdez in reference to the Exxon Valdez oil spill from the 1980s. And one person did message me to ask if that was intentional, and it was. So I'm proud of my witty joke for the day. I can, sleep comfortably in my Winnie the Pooh pajamas tonight and know that somebody got my joke. So I was proud of that one, though I'm sure it went over the heads of many of the younger generation. That's all right. Somebody got it, and so it was worthwhile to put in there. I think that's it for second base. Let's move on to third base. TJ, I'll let you start that one off.
All right, third base today we have Jose Ramirez as I think the top option on the slate. It's not that tough to get up to him with the amount of strong salary savers that we have. So Ramirez is the top option going up against the fly ball pitcher in Abbott. Devers, I actually have the exact same amount of, though. I have 20% each of both of them. And then it's just kind of a even split of Alex Bregman, Junior Caminero, Yandy Diaz, Isaac Paredes, Austin Riley, Zach McKinstry for me. That's kind of how things are mostly going.
All right, let's keep it at third base there. Tim, what do you like at third?
Yeah, so my player that I'm getting the most of at third is Austin Riley at 4,500. Junior Caminero at 4,300. I like a ton as well. I'm not getting Denny Jose Ramirez. I'm certainly not telling anybody that they can't play him. He's obviously fantastic, and he is incredibly easy to get to. I'm just living in this kind of like Devers, Riley, Caminero pricing tier. And then I think if you're got to do a little like mini pirate stack, I don't mind like a Brian Hayes at 3,100. I don't mind Isaac Paredes either, batting leadoff at 3,600. I think he's okay as well. And then of course Yadi Diaz, even though I think Diaz is better played at first base in your raise stack.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised at how relatively pedestrian this position feels today, which is why, that's why I like Ramirez the most, I think, just because it feels like there's not a ton of other options that I want to have at third. We've got some saving options there at second. So I did tag Ramirez as my clear target today, but nothing on this slate, again, given the context, is an absolute must. So wouldn't argue with anybody playing Paredes leading off, or Addison Barger for Toronto has actually had some really intriguing batted ball data over the last few weeks.
Really good.
Yeah, he's been good. So Hayes, who Tim mentioned, there's some options here that are viable, but I'm going to try to get up to Ramirez. I'll be overweight. I actually don't mind the Cleveland stack a little bit today with the way that sometimes Abbott struggles with walks and hard contact. I know his surface numbers are good, but he's been relatively lucky so far. So Cleveland is a team that I will intentionally, maybe try to get a little bit of extra exposure to, because and outside of Ramirez, they're all pretty cheap. So another little bonus to potentially going for a Cleveland stack here. You can get good one-off bets around them. All right, Tim, I'll stick with you, and let's start with shortstop.
Yeah, shortstop is very strong, as it often is. I think the preferred option is Gunnar Henderson at 4,900. But if you guys want to play Bobby Witt or Ellie De La Cruz, I have absolutely no issue with that. I would assume Ellie is going to go pretty low owned today. So, I mean, he makes for a really strong GPP play. But I think Henderson's your cash game guy. Don't mind CJ Abrams in GPPs. If you want to spend down at shortstop, which I'm really not advising, I guess Bo Bichette would probably be my favorite. We haven't talked much about the Cubs today. The Cubs are okay. I just know that it's pretty bad hitting weather, which has not stopped them a lot of times this season, but still not very bullish on them. But I guess I don't mind Dansby Swanson at 4,300, or just as part of like a Cubs stack. But really, it's like the big three for me are Witt, Gunnar, and Ellie, and I prefer Gunnar and cash, Ellie in larger field GPPs.
All right, TJ, what do you got at shortstop today?
A lot of the same. Gunnar number 1 for me, Bobby Witt 2, Ellie De La Cruz 3, CJ Abrams 4. Massive gap. Bo Bichette, Trevor Story, Trey Sweeney, Dansby Swanson, maybe. That's kind of it today. But like, I'm gonna have Gunnar Henderson, Bobby Witt, De La Cruz, and Abrams accounting for about 80% of my lineups.
Yeah, and we mentioned Gabriel Arias at second. That's probably where you want to play him if you're in that range, hitting cleanup for Cleveland today. But he's second base and shortstop on DK, so you can play him at either spot. Don't mind Mason Wynn either. Again, Waka tends to be a little reverse splitsy. So hitting second for the Cardinals, I think you could throw him in that value discussion as well. But most people will look to pay up here for, Henderson, I think, is the top option. The extra 1,200 to Bobby Witt, Liberatore is good enough to where I just don't think he's going to let Witt beat him today. Witt hasn't done much in the series this weekend. So, again, he's always fine. I'm not trying to tell you not to play Bobby Witt, but the $1,200 savings down to Henderson, I think, makes sense. And if I'm choosing between the guys at that price, I think I would take Ellie over Witt today by a little bit. So that is shortstop. Again, we will go through outfield here, and then we will get to your questions. So we've still got about 16 minutes left until lock. So if you've got questions, throw them into the RotoGrinders Discord. Again, rotogrinders.com/Discord, or you can follow the links from the homepage. And you don't have to be a premium subscriber to sign up. So just get into the live stream chat channel, drop your questions in there. I will grab those. We'll get some questions from the YouTube as well, which I think I can get now with this laptop change. Hopefully that doesn't make my mic go into robot mode. If it does, we know that it's the mic that's gone bad and not the laptop, but it'll be a good test case for that. TJ can just kick me out if my mic goes bad, but want to test it on the new laptop. So we'll see how that goes. We'll get to those as soon as we get through outfield. TJ, quick update on the likes. Seems like we got a lot of people smashing that like button today. So where are we at?
Still 20 away from the 5th and final Spidey Bomb. So keep hitting that like button. I think we should be able to hopefully get it before we get out of here. Just need 20 more people hitting that like button.
All right, hit that button. I will do that when I open the YouTube myself here in just a minute, but time to go through outfield before we get to those questions. And TJ, what do you like in the outfield today?
Yeah, so I will be, I am kind of afraid of how well O'Neal Cruz is simming today, because I'm definitely going to be underweight. I'll be underweight on Kyle Tucker. I'll be underweight on O'Neal Cruz. So not really on the same page as the Sims, which worries me. James Wood is going to be my highest owned outfielder today. I absolutely love him. I think he's hitting a home run. I think he's in a great spot. Getting to Josh Lowe and Pete Crow Armstrong. Those are two guys that are picking up ownership that I am still playing. Love some Riley Green and Kerry Carpenter. Ryan O'Hearn, one of my favorite plays, and Wilyer Abreu as well. And so Abreu and Josh Lowe, Pete Crow Armstrong, the guys who are picking up ownership that I'm kind of buying in on. And then James Wood, Riley Green, Dalton Varsho, some lower owned guys that I'm going to today.
All right, Tim, what do you got in the outfield today?
Yeah, I mean, I think O'Neal Cruz is the best spend up for outfield today at 5,600. I think it's pretty easy to get to. Pete Crow Armstrong at 5K. I think he's a fantastic play as well. I don't mind Kerry Carpenter or Riley Green in that kind of mid range. Dalton Varsho, I think, is a really, really good call. If you need somebody who's kind of a little bit on the cheaper end, Brian Reynolds and Michael Harris both are at 3,500. I both like them quite a bit. I do like Christopher Morel for GPPs at 3,500. I like Andrew McCutchen for GPPs as well. That whole Pirates outfield, I think, is a really strong stack. Jesus Sanchez at 3,400, I think, is another reasonably priced outfielder. And then Willie Abreu, I think, is a pretty good play, is like a one-off for Boston. And then, I mean, I'm not going to spend up for Kyle Tucker today, but I'm certainly not like telling people they can't do it. I mean, he's obviously amazing. So Kyle Tucker is totally fine for GPPs.
Yeah, it worries me quite a bit. I'm underweight on the Cubs a lot today. I mean, that's a pretty strong wind blowing in at Wrigley. All their outfielders are just so expensive, with Pete Crow Armstrong, Suzuki, and Tucker are all 5K plus on DraftKings. So, I mean, it's weird that just kind of be off of them against the White Sox, but their team total's down to a 4.75, whereas the last couple of days it was in like the sixes. So I feel okay about it, but it's the White Sox, so always a little bit scary. So don't mind living, a little bit cheaper with some of those guys that you mentioned, or with O'Neal Cruz as more of a top end option. I tagged Ryan O'Hearn today. Right? I mean, right now we have Ryan O'Hearn at 3% ownership. I don't think that's accurate. I think he'll be higher than that. But like that call for the home run as well.
And Evan in chat asked any Ozuna love. Absolutely. As part of that Atlanta stack, I like him quite a bit. You can use him as a one-off as well.
I think Reynolds would be my favorite of those Pirates outfielders that Tim mentioned also. So, all right, we are down to about 10 minutes to go. I'm going to fire up the YouTube. Hopefully it does not cause any issues, and I will throw some questions out to you guys from there. But again, we'll also take them from the Discord, the live stream chat channel, which is where we prefer to see those questions. And DFS Dre is asking, would you use Valdez as a cash starting pitcher on FanDuel? So FanDuel is a little bit interesting because his price is a little higher over there. I think he's the same price as Peralta on FanDuel. So Tim, would you use Valdez in cash on FanDuel?
Yeah, I mean, it's not like I'm not like set in stone with that decision, because I think Peralta can be used as well. I think if I had to choose between Valdez and Peralta, I would go Valdez. So I think Valdez is your cash game pitcher on FanDuel today, but you can certainly go to Baz or Peralta, in my opinion.
I would do Colin Ray.
You can make a case for a lot of guys today.
Yep.
And so Jerry Berg had asked that, who is FanDuel cash pitcher. Again, you can use Ray if you want to go cheaper. You can use Valdez. You can use Peralta, probably between those three. Matt Smith in the YouTube was asking, why is the Philadelphia pitcher not catching projected ownership percentage? I mean, it's his first major league start and he's 8K. So it's not like a free square. He had a really bad year last year in the minors. He's been much better this year. But these major league debuts, you just never know how they're going to go. They had Zach Wheeler pitch a really good game yesterday. I mean, the bullpen's pretty rested. So that's why the Philadelphia pitcher doesn't have any projected ownership. All right. Let's see. Let me go back to the Discord. Favorite FanDuel GPP pitcher from Beaner. TJ, who would you be your first choice on FanDuel for tournaments?
That would be Colin Ray.
Tim?
Shane Baz for me.
All right, BJ Adam is looking for a DK cash outfielder at 5,300 or below. So we basically have the free reign of everybody not named Suzuki, Cruz, Schwarber, or Tucker, which would give us Jaron Duran, Pete Crow Armstrong.
I was gonna say it's too bad they don't have the 300 for O'Neill Cruz, but I guess it's PCA.
It's PCA or Duran, yeah.
It's probably PCA, even though I'm underweight on the Cubs. He's got like 14 steals too. So, I mean, it's not like he just got to hit homers at Wrigley today. All right. Alexander said, apologies, I missed the kickoff of the show. Who are your favorite DK cash pitchers? Could be anyone, really. You could play anybody. But, a general consensus of Framber Valdez, Colin Ray, Freddie Peralta, some combination of those three seem to be the popular cash game choices today. Not that Skeens is bad, but with his strikeouts being down a little bit this year, I don't think you absolutely need to prioritize getting up to Skeens against the Phillies. Let's see. Oh, the people say we're ready for the next Spidey bomb, TJ.
Yeah, I got logged out of my betting account, so I'm just double checking it right now so I can get the proper odds.
All right, we'll circle back in a second. Tim, I'll throw one question to you in the interim. You answered this in the YouTube, but I'll let you answer it on the air too. Any interest in Matthews as a SP2 in single entry?
Yeah, I don't love that play, but I mean, if that's what you want to do, it's not horrible. I don't necessarily like it though.
I like it better than Tim, if that makes you feel better.
That's fair.
I do too, but just go into it knowing like that's a lot of risk for a single entry scenario. I'm a lot more comfortable playing him in MME, but he does have strikeout upside. He's been dominant in AAA. We just don't know how long he's going to go or if he's going to be good in the majors. And so it's certainly a high risk play.
I think the Twins let him go today. I mean, you've won 13 games in a row. Let the guy see what the guy's got. Don't give him the short leash, but that's not how Rocco operates. So probably wishful thinking there. Christopher says, any love for Eflin? That's an easy pass. He's got like a 13% strikeout rate. Good weather for hitting there. Just no reason to mess around with Eflin. The risk outweighs the reward with Eflin today.
Cards, I am going to throw out the fifth and final Spidey bomb just for you. It's going to be Kerry Carpenter.
Hey, there we go. It's tradition.
Everybody else I was looking at that, Spidey, of course, suggested to me. Everybody else had some that I bet today had some good betting odds on my site, but not so like on the only one I can use here in Saskatchewan. But not so much anywhere else. And so Kerry Carpenter plus 350 will be Spidey bomb number 5 to go along with Jackson Holiday, Riley Green, Kerry Carpenter, James Wood. And then, that's the 5 Spidey bombs today. I was looking at like Ellie Cruz. I got him for 450, but he's 375 as the best spot everywhere else. So like there was a few of that I liked. I just didn't want to go to.
All right, one more from the YouTube. Then I got to hop back to the Discord because we got some questions in there. Jorge Mateo says this is a DK cash question. Tim, I'll throw it to you. Mountcastle and Cruz or Olsen and Carpenter?
I really like Cruz today, so I'm going to stick with that Mountcastle Cruz.
All right, TJ Bates D22 with a DK cash question. Riley or Devers?
If you have the salary and you're not sacrificing anything else, Devers.
Yep, that's me. Tim, DK, single entry, PCA and Verdugo or Wood and Ozuna?
Wood Ozuna.
Beaner, I'll let you both answer this. TJ, one stack for all the money. Who's your number one today?
Number one is Baltimore, but for all the money, if I'm trying to, pick one to get first place in the tournament, I'm going to say Washington.
Tim, what do you got?
I'm going to go with the Rays and like a smaller dollar, high entry contest.
All right, NBA DFS with a DK Cash question. TJ, I'll throw this one to you. Duran and Josh Lowe or Wood and Kerry Carpenter? Oh, it's got to be Wood and Carpenter.
Yeah.
Not to take the words out of your mouth, but the one combo was 2 of your Spidey bombs, so I figured that have to be the choice. All right, see a couple more people typing in the Discord. Get those in a hurry. We've got 3 minutes left until lock. Let's see. Scroll back up in the YouTube a little bit. I think we've caught up most of those in there. Just kind of back and forth, so no more questions in there. Yep, that's me. Says thank you, always appreciated. No problem. Thank you for watching as well. And again, if you haven't hit that thumbs up button yet, which I hadn't, I meant to do that when I hopped in. Lots of likes here on a Sunday. Bates with another question that is a common one today was DK Cash, PCA, or Duran. I think we kind of loosely decided on PCA a minute ago between him and Duran for that person that had asked for a DK Cash outfielder at 5,300. So PCA, I think, is the choice, though. I don't think you're necessarily going wrong with either of them. And I see Steve Osh typing. I wasn't sure if he was watching, but apologies for telling you had lost instantly with Miles Michaelis last night, and then he pitched 6 shutout innings. So sorry, Steve Osh. We'll try to get you on track today. I'll let these guys answer it. TJ, DK single entry, Skeens or Peralta?
Peralta.
Right. That's so Steve Osh. TJ answered that. I didn't throw the pitcher under the bus today. Those Skeens and Peralta tend to be a little better than Miles Michaelis. So I didn't forget, though. I was watching the game last night, and when Michaelis came out, I thought of that question. I'm like, oh man, Michaelis actually pitched pretty good. So was happy for that, but remembered your question. All right, Alan on the YouTube says Aranda or Nate Lowe, and Tim answered that with Aranda. I do agree with that as well. Al Langston said any love for Liberator. So when we went through the pitchers, TJ mentioned him. I followed up a little bit. I mean, he's only got 7 walks on the season in 8 starts, so rarely gets shelled. I think Liberator is absolutely fine. Probably more of an SP2 on DK than a FanDuel option today, though. All right, DK large field. This is kind of a theory question. Tim, I'll throw this one to you. What would you consider more important, either spending most of your salary or finishing off a full stack? If I have a full Washington stack with my pitchers, I have $3K left. If I use Devers, I spend most of it. So I guess this question is, would you use a full Washington stack with a cheap Washington third baseman, or would you forego the full stack and use that $3K on getting up to Devers?
3K is a lot. I thought they were going to say like I have 800 left or something like that. So in this case, I would say pay it for Devers, but mostly I would lean to the other side of that, just complete the stack. But like I said, 3K is a lot. Yeah,
$800 is kind of my threshold as well. I don't know if you just threw that out as an arbitrary number or if that's.
I just threw it out. I mean, mine is kind of like 1,200, 1,500. You know what I mean? But 3Ks, I think, is just too much.
Yeah, usually I'm like under.
500. I keep it like a lot smaller than most people, though.
I'm usually in that 800 range, maybe 900. It's a OCD thing. If I see 4 digits there, like, oh, I'm leaving too much on the table. But all right, with that, we're caught up on the questions in the Discord, except for Steve O's last piece. TJ, I'll throw this to you. Abreu or Mullins?
Abreu.
All right, with that, it is right at lock. So we timed it pretty well today. Thanks to all of you for watching. Thanks for hitting that thumbs up button. Thanks for hanging out in the Discord. Thanks for hanging with us on the weekend. So as always, great to be with you. Thanks to TJ for hosting and producing, and Tim for producing last night as well and co-hosting today. Always a pleasure working with both of these fine gentlemen. And I'm Justin. So hope you all enjoy the rest of your Sunday. If you're in Canada, enjoy your holiday tomorrow. For the rest of you, we'll be back for the start of the work week with our usual Monday content. But until then, for Tim, for TJ, I'm Justin. Have a great Sunday, everybody, and we'll see you later.